I'm still here, Hollywood, and coming up on today's episode, she was one of the original stars who helped turn Baywatch into a global phenomenon, an unforgettable lifeguard in red who became a pop culture icon of the 90s. But long before she ran in slow motion on the beach, she stole a scene in E.T., posed for Playboy. She's an actress, a mother, and someone who's lived life boldly in and out of the spotlight. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with today's guest from Baywatch, actor Erika Eleniak. If this is your first time watching or listening to Still Here Hollywood, what took you so long? Even if you're a longtime fan, I have a favor to ask. If you feel it in your heart, please like and follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Or if you watch on YouTube, please subscribe. And with both, it would be great if you rated and commented on your favorite episodes. Thank you so much. And now, on with the show. Erika, thank you for stopping by. I must ask you, this is a Saturday. What would you be doing if you weren't here?
Thank you for having me, first of all. I would probably going on actually, you know what? I probably will be going on a drive later with my daughter today. We'll probably drive out to the beach. She's 19, so we like to listen to her tunes and go driving. We'll see where the road takes us sometimes.
Just tell her it's driver's choice.
Yeah, I've tried that.
I must ask, first of all,
Yeah.
I see your hands.
Yes.
You have a lot of tattoos.
I do have a lot of tattoos.
How did that come about, and when did it start?
So my first tattoo started on my back, and I feel like I was in my late 20s. So it's been a long time. It's been a long road. Every tattoo that I have is significant of something. So, like, for instance, on this part of my arm, my mom's name, she passed, and her name is Iris. So I have an iris here, and this says free in a butterfly. So yeah, every tattoo has a story, significant of something.
Why did you do it?
I love tattoos. I love that my body is like a canvas to tell my stories. Just fun.
I always thought you're gilding the lily.
Yeah, gilding the lily.
One of your very first jobs was E.T., correct? Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
That's right. I started when I was 10 years old. So I was in an acting class and we were doing a showcase. And I was actually in the adult showcase because my scene partner was playing my father. So we got asked to do the adult showcase. And there was a talent scout for Steven in the audience. And they saw me and asked me to come in and meet Steven.
And how did that meeting go? Apparently it went well.
It went really well. Yeah, he was really kind and funny and just basically asked me on the spot if I wanted to be in his movie. And I was 12. I was like, okay.
Everything I've read about him is that he's exceptionally good coaching, directing children.
Yes.
Did you find that to be the case?
Oh, yeah.
Not that you had anything really to gauge it against.
Right. But we did, because most of my stuff were all the school scenes. So there were a lot of props, pens and, all the stuff that goes with school. And I remember scented pens were a big thing back then. They had just come out. And I remember Steven testing them and saying, I wonder if they taste good too. And teasing us kids like he would taste the pens. And he just had fun. He had a lot of fun with us.
What are your memories from making E.T.?
Well, I cried because I didn't want to kiss Henry Thomas. I was very nervous. So I remember Steven coming into the trailer with me and my mom, talking to me for about 10 minutes, saying he assured me it would be a closed set. So like very few people would be there. I remember Henry Thomas was in a girl haters club. So he was 10 and I was 12. I was the older woman. And I think Steven talked with him as well to reassure him. So, and I remember a lot of frogs and just a good time. I was on set for about 3 days and then they extended my filming for another day. So I wasn't there for a very long period.
Yeah. Did you rehearse the scene?
We did not.
The kissing scene?
No, it was all improv. In fact, it was Steven who had that That little boy who Henry stands on top of, I remember him just choreographing that quickly. You come on over here. We're going to push you down on the ground, and Henry's going to stand on top of you while he was trying to catch a frog. It was absolutely brilliant, actually.
It's a nice movie to have on your resume.
Oh, man. Yeah. I was in such disbelief when I went to see the film. I brought my mom and my grandma and my little sister, and my eyes and my jaw hit the ground because we were only told that it was about a boy and an alien. So at 12, you're like, I don't know, whatever, rolling your eyes and no idea what was really happening. So we were given a working title for the film, which was different too. He really kept it secret. So when I saw that film, I was just floored.
We had Dee Wallace on Still Here Hollywood not long ago, a couple of weeks ago. And she spoke very fondly of of her memories. Mm-hmm. What memories do you have that stick out?
I think having fun with Steven definitely sticks out to me. Just him being around all the kids and making everyone feel really comfortable because I was so nervous. Mm-hmm. And then the kissing scene really stuck out to me because it was a little bit traumatic. So it's something I'll never forget.
Well, you grew up in the Glendale area, correct?
I was born in Glendale, yeah. Grew up more Canoga Park, North Hollywood, San Fernando Valley.
Which, for people who may not be familiar with Los Angeles, is all nearby.
Yes, it's all close to each other.
Did that influence what you wanted to do?
I don't think so, because my mom was sort of the opposite of a stage mother. So I grew up in Van Nuys, actually, and went to school there. And didn't spend any time in Hollywood or sort of, growing up in the scene. I really didn't do that. So I don't think that it did.
And then Baywatch happened. Mm-hmm.
Baywatch happened right after high school.
How did that come about?
That was an audition process that was pretty grueling. That was about, I feel like, 6 auditions for the writers, for the producers, for the director. Then it was the networks. So, yeah, that was a grueling process. And then they wanted to see the chemistry between myself and Billy Warlock, who was going to be the love interest for my character, Shawnee. So we had to do an audition to check our chemistry. And, yeah, it was a lot.
What would Shawnee be doing today, do you suppose?
Shawnee grew up a lot. In the short time that Shawnee was there, I would say she started out a very spoiled brat, a very self-entitled spoiled brat, and she grew up a lot. So I think Shawnee what would Shawnee be doing today? Shawnee would probably still be working in the lifeguard field. She might be a higher up, a senior now. But I think she would still be in a place where she'd be helping people. Mm-hmm.
What was the vibe like among the cast and crew in those days?
So fun. So great. I mean, it was that's what I miss the most is the camaraderie between the cast and the crew. Just a lot of joking and pranks. And, our cameraman was Uncle Jimmy, and we just laughed and joked with each other all the time and at each other's expense sometimes. But it was so much fun, just a really fun set.
First day on the beach, red suit, cameras rolling. There's a sigh. What do you remember most about that moment?
Cold.
Cold?
Cold. We shot, because as you know, there's deadlines for the shows to be prepared. So we shot in January. And they used the big Kino lights to make it look hot, and they would spray us with water, which they tried to keep warm. But of course, that never really happened, right? So you're being sprayed down with freezing cold water, and it's gray outside, and the water's like 55 degrees. It was difficult. It was difficult to shoot with the natural elements.
That show was physically intense, besides what you've described. How did you get yourself ready for it, body and mind?
Yeah, I think there was a big difference for me between the first and the second year. So the first year, I just dove in head first. I really had no idea what was, what it was really going to be like. Between the first and the second year, I started working out a lot and slimmed down. Really worked on my run, not the slow-mo run. the real run. Just tried to become more athletic now, because it was at that point that I realized the job really called for it. So, yeah, I think that was a big difference between 1 and 2 for me.
How did you do that? How did you run? I mean, is there a difference between running full on and running slow motion?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, sure. The slow-mo run, and we get teased about it all the time and always asked to do it. The slow-mo run, it was really for camera. It's all for camera, right? So there's this whole sort of technique about how you move your body and how you move your arms, and as opposed to a real run, But running in the sand is not easy. Also, if you're a real runner and you're running in the sand, there's a difference between running in the sand and cement. So, but the slow-mo run was definitely just for camera.
It's good for you.
Yeah, it is good for you.
Good for your butt.
Yeah, it's good for the butt. Definitely good for the glutes. Yep.
When the spotlight suddenly found you, how did you handle that level of attention?
It was never comfortable for me. The very first time, actually, 2 little kids that lived in, I grew up in an apartment building, and these 2 little kids that had seen E.T. had asked me for my autograph. And I remember I ran upstairs and cried because I just thought it was so weird. So, I mean, it's part of the dinner. It comes with it, right? And you get used to it and respond kindly and, as humbly as you can. But I think it was never anything that I felt super comfortable with.
And did the autographs continue? I would imagine they did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did you get used to it?
You did. I did. Did you?
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, I got used to it. And like I said, then you just, it's such a huge compliment. It really is a huge compliment. People are liking the work that you're doing. And so then it becomes something different when you start thinking about it like that.
Looking back on it, are you glad your career went this way?
I am. I mean, I'm really, really fortunate in that I feel like I had a pretty diverse career. I worked hard for it. So a lot of the roles after I left Baywatch that I played in film and television were pretty diverse. I got to do some really interesting things, some tough things. So I really like the direction my career went. I think I made a lot of decisions based on fear growing up. So I passed on some great opportunities, unfortunately. That I can look back on those and say, maybe that wasn't such a great decision to make. But I'm grateful for the career that I had, yeah.
And we'll be right back. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get our episodes a day before they post anywhere else. You can see what guests will be coming up and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll see what goes on before and after the episode, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. After Baywatch, did you feel boxed in by the role?
Definitely. I would say definitely. It was really difficult to get auditions after that were strong women, that were a cop. Or I remember once, gosh, I feel like it was already 10 years after the show, I was auditioning to play a cop, and it was between myself and another actress. And at the end of the day, there was one person in one of the camps that felt uncomfortable with the Baywatch credit. So I lost the role.
When you say camps?
Networks.
Oh.
Yeah, networks.
Okay. Under Siege came not long after Baywatch. What stands out from that shoot?
Being the only female, I think, among, how many men were on that film? It felt like 1,000. There were probably 5 of us girls. That was something that stood out. It was very weird. Working with Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones was amazing.
Amazing good?
Amazing good. Yeah, they're just such great actors. Watching them work together, too, and just improv so many cool things that ended up being in the film. was really, really amazing opportunity for me.
You didn't mention Seagal, Steven Seagal in that sentence.
Yeah, Steven Seagal also. It was also great working with Steven. Steven was just different, kind of a different persona, I guess I would say. He had a big entourage around him all the time. When he showed up on set, you know, he was very professional. He did his thing. Sometimes he liked to joke around a lot, but we didn't really have a kind of a rapport where we hung out, you know, whereas I feel like with Gary Busey and Tommy Lee Jones, we had some of that, which was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with Baywatch, do you keep in contact with any of the cast members?
Some of the cast members. And it's really funny because none of them were the girls that I worked with. You know, we run into each other at charity events or different what have you, different events. And so I've stayed in touch with Gina Lee Nolan and a little bit with Alexandra Paul, with Donna, with Nicole Eggert. So yeah, it's been really nice.
Walking away after 2 seasons.
Yes.
What went into that decision?
The show started out, and most people roll their eyes when I say as a serious lifeguarding show, but it really was. You know, you had the lawyer and doctor and cop dramas. This was one about lifeguarding, which is a serious thing, you know. So we did everything by the book. CPR was by the book. The swimsuits were regulation. Everything we did was by the book. And that's where my heart really was to get my chops in there and really have a serious look at lifeguarding. And I think the direction it took, which was wonderful, by the way, and I take nothing away from it because it made Baywatch what it became, which was eye candy and music montages. And I think for me, I just really wanted to do more serious work. Also, I was not really comfortable being in slinky little bikinis, and it just wasn't my thing. Running around on the beach in a thong was not my idea of
a good time.
Of a good time. No, it really wasn't. And I was very self-conscious, and I didn't feel free, I think, to do my job. So for me, having Pamela Anderson come on when I was leaving it was the perfect marriage for that show. It was exactly what they needed and wanted. And then for me, I was able to go on and do some really fun films. So I think it worked out really well.
Did you and Pamela Anderson converse at all talk at all about the show?
I feel like we've run into each other a couple times over the years, but we really didn't talk too much about the show. We hung out a little bit on set, but there was no sort of handing off of the baton or anything like that. Yeah.
Why do you think Baywatch struck a chord with people all over the world?
Oh gosh, because it was just the ultimate fantasy show. You know, all over the world, people are freezing. And Baywatch, everyone was, you know, in these little shorts and bathing suits, and the sun is shining and the music is wonderful and people are eye candy to look at. And I just think it was a really fun no-brainer. So I think that kind of concept would work anywhere globally. Do
you go back and watch any reruns or episodes of the show to refresh your memory?
You know, I have. I'll tell you, it's really funny. My television, and I swear this is true, my TV, my Samsung TV is literally, when you turn it on, the station that comes on is the Baywatch channel. So every once in a while, I do catch myself in the living room if I leave the TV on for the dog. I do see it, and it's funny. It's fun to watch.
I leave my TV on for my dog too.
You do?
Yes, as company.
Yes, as company, exactly. Yeah.
You did a string of thrillers and action flicks in the 90s. Was that a genre you enjoyed?
Yeah, I loved action. I would say give me action over the talkies any day. I really had fun doing a lot of my own stunts, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Is there a role that you're particularly proud of?
I have 2 that I love, and they're sort of on opposite scales in terms of the size of the films. So I really loved the Beverly Hillbillies. Getting to play Ellie Mae Clampett was so much fun. And that was a big studio movie. So we had all the bells and whistles and a tremendous cast. And then the other one is a little independent movie called The Opponent, where I played a boxer, and I did my own training, and I trained hard. I trained in Brooklyn. We lived in New York. And it was a ring girl turned boxer because of an abusive relationship. So I learned how to box. And I'm really proud of the work that went into that.
Mm-hmm. What is a ring girl?
A ring girl, the girl that wears a bathing suit and holds up
brings out the card that says, now appearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the toughest stretch of your career, and how did you get through it?
I don't know. I think there was some kind of transition between doing television and film, which there doesn't seem to be anymore. It seems like the industry has changed so much. But I think making that kind of crossover back and forth was challenging, because once you sort of start doing the films, then you're sort of, you're back then, especially if you were doing films, you weren't doing TV. And now everybody's doing TV. Everybody just wants to work, And
a lot of people do commercials too, which was not the case.
Right. You just didn't do that, right? If you were doing films, you didn't do TV, you didn't do commercials, you just didn't. And if you modeled, you never said you modeled. And then there was a time where if you were a model, you were getting all the jobs because you were a supermodel. So I think maybe that transition from being okay to go back and forth.
And was there a personal part of this, not professional, but personally? Was it tough for you at any point in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a good handful of times. Definitely during Baywatch, when I was deciding whether or not to stay or go. That was really hard on me because it was a successful show. It was doing well. But I just wasn't happy towards the end of my stay. So that was personally kind of tormenting for me, deciding whether or not I should go and, risk losing that position and kind of put myself out there to do other things. Who knows how that would go, right? So, yeah. And I think also, too, there's so many other things that I really love doing. I love writing and hosting, and there's just lots of different things that I've always wanted to try. So I think there were moments in my career where I was like, man, should I keep going? Should I go do something else?
What swayed you to continue?
I think it was just in my blood. Once you start really performing and you get some opportunities to sink your chops into something really good, I think you miss it. You miss it tremendously. So that for me was what kept me going.
So before Baywatch came Playboy.
Yes.
How did that decision shape what came next for you?
Well, Playboy is really interesting for me because I didn't set out to do Playboy. I actually was with a girlfriend of mine who was a playmate, and we were roommates. And I went with her to go pick up her film from the then editor, Marilyn Grabowski, who was there. And she and I met, and she said, you should do the magazine. And I was like, I won't do this magazine. I can't do the magazine. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And my girlfriend was in my ear, and I thought, why not? Maybe it'll be really fun. I was so young. So I did that just before Baywatch, sort of on the heels of Baywatch. And it was difficult. In fact, I believe I became known as the difficult one because I was never comfortable filming. And I was very guarded. I was very guarded about my angles, and just, I was not that yes girl. So I actually had another playmate call me up and say, hey, I need some advice. I hear that you're the difficult one. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I am. So yeah, Playboy, I think for me, I viewed it as a modeling job. It was fun. I did a pictorial for them. I did some covers for them, but I never looked at myself as a playmate. I was an actress who did Playboy. And so for me, I kind of kept Playboy. I mean, you can't really keep it a secret, and it wasn't what I was trying to sweep it under the rug, but I wasn't advertising it to go to my next acting job, right? Where I feel like some girls feel that Playboy will launch their acting careers. And for me, it was the opposite.
You thought it would
get in the way and be an obstacle for
Really?
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And was it?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
How so?
Well, I think there's a perception, maybe not so much today. Now, that's the other thing I need to say. I need to qualify. I'm 55 today. I was 18, 19 when I did Playboy. I think the perception is that there's the bimbo that does the Playboy, the bimbo girl, right? That can't walk and talk and
Chew gum.
chew gum. Right. I mean, and so I really was, but also at that age, you feel invincible. So even though I knew it was an obstacle, maybe I was going to get through it and it wouldn't be an issue. But I can remember doing a film, actually walking out of my trailer, overhearing a conversation between the director and the DP about how dare I, because I was refusing to do a shower scene when I did Playboy. You know, how dare I not do that scene in the film? Like, who do I think I am? So now what? I owe everybody being naked because I did Playboy. Now that's just my job. So still a little defensive about it, as you can see. Yeah.
You have a right. Being labeled a sex symbol can be a double-edged sword, which it sounds like it was for you.
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Did it take a while for that to go away, or hasn't it gone away completely?
Well, I mean, I've gotten older too, so that the relevance of that diminishes. But I think double-edged sword is a great way to say it. Pros and cons, right? So some of it's fantastic, and it would be a lie to say any different. But there were definitely the other sides of that coin that were hard to get great acting roles and to have respect from people. So yeah, double-edged sword. And I don't think it really ever did go away. I think it just diminishes a little bit.
And we'll be right back. Was there ever a time when you seriously considered walking away from the business altogether?
Yes, there definitely was. Definitely was.
Did that have to do with attitudes towards your work?
I think more the business part of acting, I really, really, really didn't like. I love the work itself, but when you think about how much business goes into the work, it's
How much business goes into show business?
Right. 90%, and you got 10% on stage or in front of the camera. There's just so much of it. And I think it really took a toll on me. It was just, the audition process is not something that I ever got comfortable with. I was really an insecure, very fearful girl. So it's a tough business to be in.
That's funny to hear you say that about being a tough business when you had to overcome all this.
Yeah.
How does someone with that kind of an attitude to begin with go into it?
Yeah, not easily. Not easily. And that sort of answers the question, about all the torment and being unhappy, is because there was so much of that for me that made me unhappy, really made me unhappy. So there was a lot of push-pull.
Had you not gone into acting, what would you have done?
Gosh, there were so many things. I was such a weird kid. I mean, I wanted to be a parapsychologist. I loved paranormal things. A child psychologist. I really loved the idea of counseling or being a therapist, and I love kids. So maybe something like that.
Mm-hmm. You've been open with today even with your struggles with body image and eating disorders. What happened to help you turn that corner?
Well, I don't know if I ever fully have. I still feel like I have issues. I mean, I've never been satisfied. That's not true, actually. When I did the boxing movie, The Opponent, and I was training like crazy and eating like a professional athlete, I appreciated the work that went into it, and I appreciated the way my body looked. That was the only time I feel like I ever felt really comfortable with my body. And that's crazy because it was a 24-hour job to maintain that and to get that. And I would not want to do that today. There's just, it's not worth it to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think even today, there's still times I look at myself and say, oh, I wish this was like that. Or, I don't think I've ever felt 100% comfortable in my skin. I'm much more comfortable in my skin today, older, than I was when I was younger.
What advice would you give someone?
In terms of their body image? Love yourself. Just love yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Easier said than done.
Definitely. Definitely. It is.
As time has passed, how has your relationship with the industry evolved?
Well, I've been out of the industry. Well, I keep a toe in the door. I guess I'll say that. I've sort of switched. I've been working in the podcast world myself and narrating and hosting. And so it's a little bit different. I'm not really out there auditioning anymore. So I don't know. I think about it, though. I think about the possibility of returning. And I'm wondering, I'm sort of in a transitional period right now where I'm wondering if that's something that I would be courageous enough to do.
What would it take?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. I'm struggling with that right now. I know it takes courage. Maybe that's all. Maybe that's what it takes is courage to just get up, get out there, and who cares? Who cares if you make a fool of yourself or fail or just who cares?
You've spent time helping others in recovery. What inspired that path?
Well, I was teaching acting for about 5 years. I was teaching at a studio. And the opportunity to teach kids in rehab that were either suffering from substance abuse or behavioral issues, that opportunity came up. So it was teaching acting as a form of therapy. And it was amazing. I did it for about 3 years. It was the toughest thing I've ever done, ever, except being a mom. Because you never knew what was going to happen when you walked into work that day. These kids were in crisis. This was a really serious situation for the kids. So here I come with my monologue book, and, the kids would like to tell me to take the book and stuff it. But it was really fulfilling when you could reach the kids and get them to open up.
Did you go through any formal teaching or training for that?
No, I trained my whole life as an actor. I've trained with different coaches and classes and things. I've always kept myself studying. But to do that, no. So I went in as an acting teacher and not as a therapist. And when I went in, there were always 2 therapists present. So it wasn't really set up that way.
Right.
Yeah.
What have you learned from it?
Oh, my goodness. How important, and this is going to sound lame because, of course, it's the most important job of all, being a parent, but how important your actions as a parent and your walking your talk as a parent, how important those things are. Because I've seen a lot of kids suffer because of some, and I don't want to sound judgmental, but I've just seen some terrible things from rotten parenting at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. And did it teach you a lot in terms of how you relate to your daughter?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen. It's so important to really listen, because we can talk at our kids, but to really listen to what's being said and take it in. That's something that I learned definitely from working with the kids.
Listen carefully. What does life look for you now? Are you still drawn to acting, or have other passions taken the lead?
It's interesting. My daughter left for about 5 months. She left the nest, and I was devastated because she and I are besties. And so I was really left to figure out what on earth to do with myself. And then she came back after 5 months. So it was sort of a whirlwind, and I'm so happy she's back home now. But it sort of opened a little window for me to figure out what on earth I want to do. Like I said, I had my own podcast, and I did that for a while, and I narrated a fictional murder series, which was really fun. I'm loving that world. But I'm thinking about returning to acting. I'm just thinking about it. It's just the thought right now. And I don't know. I just don't know if there's
Put it
anything
out
left.
there.
I'm putting it out there. It'll be interesting to see if I do have anything left in me. And I think maybe I do. So
What kind of roles would you look for? Or would you take anything that came along?
I definitely don't think I would take anything. I would have to be right for it, for sure. It would have to be something that I was right for. Strong women, for sure.
What's holding you back from that decision?
I think at this point, honestly, fear. For sure. Just fear. And also to the whole business part of it again. That's not something that I ever found peace with or made peace with. So it's that. I can get over walking into a room, but it's the whole business part of it that's just a big part of it. It just is. Do I want to sign up for that again?
Outside of acting, what's something that you've picked up over the years that brings you joy?
I love being outside. I love nature. I just feel so close to the universe, spirit, when I'm outside. So I would say spending time outside, walking, reading. I like solo activities. I'm pretty much a recluse.
Are you?
Yeah.
How come?
I don't know. That's interesting because I don't feel lonely, but I'm definitely more of a reclusive person. I'm not super social, and I don't know if it's on purpose. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm kind of that way too. I don't like to be out there all the time.
Yeah.
I like my privacy,
Yes.
my space,
Yes.
which sounds so hokey.
No, but I'm with you. I feel the same way.
What first lit the spark for acting?
When I started acting, actually, my dad wanted to be an actor. He followed in his older brother's footsteps, who was an actor for many years, Eddie Carroll. He was actually the voice of Jiminy Cricket. And so my dad wanted to act.
Excuse me, Jiminy Cricket?
Yes, since 1973, he was the voice of Jiminy Cricket. And my dad came out here from Canada to become an actor. And he ended up dating a lady in a film company. And whenever they needed extras to do like the training films for commercials, they would put my sister and I in. And it was really my dad. He just said to me, do you want to try this? And I was 10. So I was like, okay, why not? And it just stuck. It just stuck. I started out with theater and did a lot of theater around here, Studio City, and did some commercials, and then got into a modeling agency. I actually started modeling before acting. And yeah, I guess it just stuck.
Would we know your father's voice?
Not my dad's voice, but my uncle's voice you would know if you hear Jiminy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, definitely.
What moment in your life really showed you just how resilient you are?
Being a single mom. So I don't know if it's a moment in particular, but definitely being a single mom. And I went through a terrible, terrible, terrible breakup with her father. And it would be that moment in time, I would say, where I realized how resilient I was.
Do you still feel that way?
I do. I think it's my strength. It's my strength. If you ask me what I think
It's your superpower?
it's my superpower. I was just going to say that, I swear. Yeah, it's my superpower.
When people look back on your work, on your journey,
Yeah.
if given reason to, what do you hope they remember most about you?
I hope that maybe I could be seen as a diverse actor, that I did a lot of different things and took different risks. Because I got a chance to do that. I got to play a cop. I got to play a boxer. I got to play, the fluffier, more sex symbol roles. And so maybe just for the range, that would be nice. That would be really nice. It'd be a great compliment.
How will you look back and what will you remember?
What a wonderful, long journey it's been. What a wonderful, long journey. I'm still looking back at it, sort of dissecting pieces of it and right now. And it's interesting how fast time flies, I'll say.
The older you get, the quicker it goes.
Oh boy, isn't that the truth?
Yes. If there's one big misconception about you that you would go back and change if you could,
Yeah.
what would it be?
I think the whole bombshell bimbo sort of tag.
Perception.
Yes. Yeah. I would definitely change that. And I would not do Playboy again.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't. I have a daughter, so that really changed my perspective. I would not. And it's no judgment. Oh my goodness. So many of my good friends have done Playboy, and it's not about morality or anything like that. It was really about the sort of the obstacles that it created for me. And also too, I feel like sharing your body is a private thing. It's just it's a private matter, with the people that you love. Some of them, not all of them. Yeah. And, if my daughter wanted to do Playboy, I would support her in really whatever she wants to do. That'll make her happy. But I would have a lot to tell her about that journey.
Could you share any of that with us?
I don't think you get the same level of respect. I think even today there are famous film actresses, without naming names, who are proud of the fact that they haven't ever done a topless scene, or, there's a stigma to it. There's definitely a stigma, and it creates a lot of pain. It did for me. I'm sure there are girls that would hear me speaking right now going, boo, This was just my experience. And I think it created a lot of obstacles and a lot of pain. And I would not want my daughter to go through that.
Did your family discourage you from doing Playboy?
My mom tried. She knew me, though. I was so headstrong. My dad was very supportive. My mom she ended up being on board, but she definitely tried to persuade me not to do it.
But you weren't about to hear
I
her.
wasn't listening.
No,
I was a kid. Yeah.
You've worked as a recovery counselor. We touched on that. So if Hollywood were your client, what kind of pep talk would you give it?
Oh my goodness. That's a great question. What pep talk would I give Hollywood? I would say to relax a little bit.
Chill.
Just chill. Don't be so uptight. Yeah, I think that would be it. Just chill.
Is there a role that people always swear you played, but you didn't?
There was a movie called The Chase, and I did a movie called Chasers. And I've literally had people say that, you were in The Chase. You definitely, because there was oh my goodness, who was the wonderful actress that was in there? Oh, I can't remember her name now. I feel bad. But there's another young lady that was in The Chase that I've always have people say, no, it was you. And I'm like, pretty sure it wasn't, but.
If you could hit rewind and relive just one day of your career, what would it be?
I remember it, actually. It was a movie called Caught in the Headlights with Kim Coates. And Stacy Keach was in that movie. And the filming, the work was just, I'm really proud of the work in that film too. And there was a day that we had filming where it was just really intense work, and it was strong, and it felt amazing. One of the best experiences I've ever had.
Do you have it on tape?
I do. But it's VHS.
Well, forget that notion.
What are we going to do now?
What's the wildest fan moment you ever experienced?
Oh my goodness. Seeing people get tattoos of your face is really a trip. Having someone walk up to your table and show you a tattoo of you on their body is definitely like mind-blowing.
I would think so.
Yes.
But I would think with all the tattoos you have that maybe you could get past that.
Yeah, now I could. Back then, when I was a kid and someone had come up to me and shown me a tattoo of my face on their body, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's a commitment. That's really a
Someone
commitment.
You'll be close to forever.
Aye.
What advice would you give to a young actress today who's just starting to navigate the time machine, the fame machine?
Yeah, I would say Well, starting out in acting would be one thing. I would say perseverance, because there are so many talented, beautiful people in this industry. I don't even know how much it's about anymore, the talent and the beauty. It's about being outside the box now. And so I would say perseverance. You just, 5 doors close and go open the 6th door. Just keep trying and keep trying. And with the fame, I would say don't take it so seriously. Try to have fun with it. But at the end of the day, really try to have fun with it.
So you're pondering what to do next.
Yes.
No inkling which direction.
You know what? I really do love the podcast world. I would love to co-host a show. I think that would be really fun to co-host a show.
Mm-hmm.
That's more my comfort zone too. And I love to chat, as you can tell. I'm very chatty. So that would be something that I would love to do and I would welcome. Narration, I loved narrating the series. That's something that I would do in a heartbeat. Like I said, with the acting, I don't know. If an opportunity fell in my lap, that would definitely make the decision easier than me sort of calling up the agent and saying, let's dive back in,
And how it'll be received, not knowing how it'll be received.
That's right.
Say, is there a costume or a keepsake, something from the past that you've held on to?
I have knickknacks that I really love, like props from different films. Tom Berenger gave me a little canned possum. It's not really, but it was like a prank thing. I feel like he found it in South Carolina. So I have this canned possum, and I have a little car from the Beverly Hillbillies, just little things like that, little mementos that I have.
Something to remember it by.
Yes.
Over the years, what have you learned about leadership? Either on set or off.
Yeah. That's a good question. What have I learned about leadership? I think you got to have a lot of self-confidence to be a leader. And I don't know that I've had a lot of self-confidence throughout my time in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I have a lot to say about leadership, if I was enough of a leader.
Did you keep the red bathing suit?
I did not.
You did not?
I know. Can you believe that? I know. But
Could have sold it for a fortune.
I know. Dang it. There's actually a few of the girls that did not keep their bathing suits that are regretting it. Yeah.
Okay. Erika, thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
It's been fun.
It appears as though it's not particularly easy for you to talk about yourself.
Oh, it gets easier the older I get.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerly. Theme music by Brian Sanashin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.